We can argue till we're blue in the face. What is the best league? Is it the URC? Is it the top 14? Is it the Premiership? I think they've all got merits. Premiership's most competitive because of the salary cap. URC is really cool because there's 6 countries and that makes it a bit spicy and a bit different. Top 14, you've got all that history, heritage, and all that money. It's the most lucrative league in the world. So they're all brilliant, but we can park that debate because now the best of those leagues are coming together to fight for the Champions Cup once more. Did I say we can park that debate? I guess actually what the Champions Cup does is it puts that debate front and centre. Who is the best with these teams that don't get to play each other in their domestic league? The Champions Cup is back. And here's a statement I would say. Crowning the Champions Cup champion is crowning the best club team in the world. Sorry, Super Rugby. Sorry to those great New Zealand teams. It would have been the case in the past that Super Rugby maybe produced the best club teams in the world when, you know, the Bulls were in their pomp back in like 2007, 2009, Crusaders, the great teams they had. This is where it's at now. This is where it's at. The best club teams are in this competition. All of these 6 international captains will be playing in this year's competition, and I love it. And before I look ahead to this year's competition, and that's what I'm going to do on this video, so please give me your thoughts down below. Give the video a thumbs up and hit subscribe. I've had a load of comments lately saying, oh, I'm going to miss the videos now the international rugby's over. International rugby's over. Rugby keeps going, and so do the videos on the channel. So subscribe and keep checking back in. But before I look forward to this year's competition, let me just quickly have a little trip down memory lane with you. How amazing was that final in May? I was there at the Tottenham Stadium in London. One of the best games I've ever watched. Went to extra time. That another heartbreaking narrow defeat for Leinster. This one, the width of a post, avoided Kieran Frawley from getting that winning drop goal. Antoine Dupont with one of the great all-time individual performances to lead his team to victory for Toulouse. Again, the team that have won it more than anyone else. And I would say the greatest club team in the world right now. But there are 23 other teams that are trying to challenge them. And when I look down my memories of growing up watching rugby, so many of my favourite memories revolve around this competition, the Champions Cup, or as it was called, the Heineken Cup, when Leicester won it in 2001. An amazing Leicester team, beat Stade Francais, all those England internationals in that team, all those guys that would go on to become World Cup winning legends in 2003. You got the Wasp team of 04, led by Lawrence Dallaglio, an amazing team. That final against Toulouse was brilliant. You got Leinster in 2011. I remember that comeback win against Northampton Saints. And by the way, Cian Healy on the edge of that picture there. I think he's the last remaining member of that winning team that's still going. Ireland's all-time record number of caps as well. Maybe the greatest club team there's ever been. The back-to-back-to-back 3-time winning Champions Cup team with all those Galactico superstars from all around the world assembled together like rugby Avengers. Incredible team. Then the Saracens dynasty, and then Toulouse more recently, whose wins have helped provide maybe my favourite rugby photo of all time with the ski masks and the gold champagne bottles. Truly iconic. But here we go with a brand new season, which has 24 teams starting it. One will be crowned the champ. Who is it going to be? So the way the pool system works, and here it is again. And for once, they have not changed the tournament format from year to year. That's a good thing. There's been far too much tinkering in this competition. But the way it works is there are 4 pools of 6 teams. And in each pool, there are 2 teams from the top 14, 2 teams from the URC, 2 teams from the Premiership. And I'll go through how it works. I'll go through the fixtures this weekend. I'll go through each of the pools and see how I think it's going to go. But tell me what you think about the format overall and this competition. I think it has lost some prestige. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. It isn't held in the same regard that it was. And I think there's a number of reasons for that. I already mentioned one. They've been tinkering with the competition too much. I'm not a massive fan of this compared to the old format. I think there's no perfect. It's important to say there's no perfect system. I think the old system was better, as much as anything, because it meant so much was hanging on every single match in the pool stages. Whereas I think with this one, where there are 24 teams, 18 of these teams go through to the knockouts. Sorry, 16 of these teams, not 18. Only 8 teams get knocked out after the pool stage. That makes it too easy to get through to the knockouts, in my opinion. I know the round of 16 weekend is brilliant. It's great. There's so many great matchups and it's really entertaining. But I think overall, the competition loses because it's too easy to get through. And I think if it just went straight to a quarter final and 16 teams got eliminated, then the pool stages would be fierce. But because you can get through to the knockout stages winning only one game, teams quite often, and we saw this last year, and I think we're going to see it again this year, a lot of teams will send a second team to their away matches and they'll just try and win their home games. I hope it's not the case, but I think it might be. Another reason I think it's lost a bit of prestige is the South African teams being involved, which is not a knock on them. And actually, it's great to see how happy the Sharks were to qualify for the Champions Cup. I really hope they go full bore for this competition, and hopefully that just lights a bit of a fuse that ignites something with those South African teams. You can't expect the fans, the organisations, the players to understand what the Champions Cup means, because I've already talked about it. I've been watching it my whole life. They haven't. So they don't know the prestige that this is for fans of Irish rugby and Welsh and Scottish and English and French. Less so Italians, because they've never really done very well in this competition. But this is the ultimate. This is the ultimate in club rugby. So for the competition this year, the way it works, let me take Pool 1 for example. So there are 6 teams. Taking Toulouse, because they're in the same domestic league in the top 14 as Bordeaux-Bègles, they will not play Bordeaux in the pool stages. They will play Sharks, Ulster, Leicester and Exeter, and they will either play those teams home or away, which does make it a little bit of a lottery. Like, depending on who you get home and away can massively skew how successful you are. And I did used to love the home and away. But anyway, enough of the past. Let's look forward. This weekend, Toulouse have got Ulster at home. Then next weekend, they go to Exeter away. And then in January, you've got the 2 weekends where they go away to Durban to face the Sharks. And then they're home to Leicester Tigers to finish the pool stage. 4 teams from each pool go through. Your position in the pool and your position overall means you get a seeding, which gives you home advantage through the knockouts and home through the round of 16 and quarterfinals, and even home country advantage for the semi-final. So massive stakes. That is the one good thing about the pool stages. The seeding means that it really matters. As we get further on into the pool stage, where you finish can have a massive impact on your season. 8 teams get eliminated. I've only picked those at random. Don't read too much into that. And then you're into the knockout stages. But how do I think the pools will go then? So Pool 1, you've got Toulouse and Bordeaux. You've got Sharks and Ulster, Exeter and Leicester. Well, it's clear to say I think those 3 teams at the top, Toulouse, Bordeaux and Sharks, will qualify. Exeter have been finding life hard. They won the competition in 2020, but that team has now been broken up and they're starting again. I think they will probably finish bottom. Although it could be a bit of a bum fight with Ulster and Leicester. Maybe Exeter will be 4th, 5th, 6th, but in what order? Probably I'll go Leicester 4, Ulster 5, Exeter 6. That would be my gut feeling at this stage. Pool 2, you've got Leinster, you've got Clermont, La Rochelle, Bath, Benetton and Bristol. Pretty cool pool. I mean, Leinster are going to win it, but then you've got former 2-time winners La Rochelle that love this competition and will go all in. They're not quite the force they were, and Clermont are rising in the top 14. They're better, but Bath are also, they've got a deep squad. They can battle on both stages. And Bristol, with the wins they've got under their belt in the Premiership, they can afford to roll the dice a little bit on this competition. So I see Benetton finishing bottom, Leinster finishing top, and in between, it could go any way. I think what might happen, particularly with Clermont, is they will send a B team to their away matches. And I can't remember who Clermont have got away. I think Clermont travel to Bristol and to Benetton. So, yeah, Bristol could end up winning that one, which could skew things. Bath have got La Rochelle at home. I think they've got Leinster at home, haven't they? Oh, it's interesting. Probably the pedigree I'll go with, and La Rochelle will get through. Bath and Bristol as well. Maybe Clermont to miss out. That's mad, because Clermont are doing really well in the top 14. But I had it explained to me like this. So Joe Worsley, I have another rugby channel looking at French rugby called FR UK. Go and check that one out. Joe Worsley, who does the channel with me, former winner of this competition with Wasps, he said that the way it works mentality-wise in France is the teams that have won the top 14 go on and try and win the Champions Cup. But many French teams don't worry about the Champions Cup and they focus on the top 14. I think Clermont might do that this year. So there you go. I'm going to go the English teams, La Rochelle and Leinster. Oh, let me jump back before I get to this weekend. Pool 3, got Northampton Saints, you've got Munster, you've got the Bulls, Stade Francais, Saracens and Castres. Now, I actually think this is probably, overall quality-wise, it might be the poorest, because Stade Francais were brilliant in the top 14 last year. They're having a terrible year now. Saracens are dipping from where they have. Well, actually, they've been all right, to be fair. Munster definitely have dipped. Castres, they're going to focus on top 14. They're not going to worry about this competition too much because they don't have a big enough squad to. That's my gut feeling on that. Northampton won the Premiership last year, and they gave a good account of themselves in the knockouts, but they've lost a few key players. So I think this one's wide open. I'm going to go for the Bulls to top it. Maybe Saracens and Saints, and then maybe Munster to sneak it through. I think this is one where the French teams are just going to not interested. No. That's what I think it might be the case. Stade Francais got some dynamite players, but they're not doing very well in the top 14. And I think they're going to pick domestic league. Them and Castres are going to pick the domestic league. So I'm going to say the two French teams finish 5th and 6th. And into Pool 4 then. Glasgow Warriors, Racing 92, Sale Sharks, Stormers, Toulon and Harlequins. This one is also really wide open because every team on their day, and again, the home and away fixtures are going to be absolutely massive. It's interesting that we've also got some fixtures that feel quite familiar. In Pool 3, the Bulls and Saracens and Saints and Munster, we saw that last year. Quins and Racing, we saw that last year, and we get this again in this competition. Toulon, last year they didn't win a game in this, and I just think that the loss of prestige and money of the Champions Cup at the minute, and the fact that the top 14 is going gangbusters and making a fortune, I just think the French teams aren't going to take it as seriously. I could probably see Toulon and Racing both finishing 5th and 6th. I don't know, maybe one of them will edge Sale Sharks out. Glasgow, Quins, Stormers, and then one of the other three, maybe Toulon, to get through. But there you go. This is what I mean. This competition needs to resurrect its fortunes. It needs to get eyeballs and people talking about it and interested, so that it generates the money, so that it becomes the main event. I think the top 14 has maybe become too good. In a weird way, strange thing to say. As for the games this actual weekend, then let me run through those. Sharks against Exeter Chiefs, one of those fixtures we've never seen before. Former champions of the Champions Cup, Exeter, but a totally new team, full of kids, against Sharks, who won the Challenge Cup, earned the right to be in this competition, and are absolutely jam-packed with superstars who have underperformed up till now. I'm hoping that the Sharks go absolutely full bore into this, rip into it, and try and raise the profile of this competition within South Africa. I see the Sharks winning this one, definitely against Exeter. Home win for that one. Clermont against Benetton. The one thing that I haven't said already, I've been fortunate enough to go and work and watch a bunch of games in this competition at grounds around Europe. The French crowds are nuts. And games at Clermont are the atmosphere is insane. It's like nothing I've experienced. Some of these French grounds, La Rochelle, Clermont, incredible. Toulon, amazing. So if I could pick somewhere to be this weekend, it might be at Clermont. I mean, atmosphere-wise, that's amazing. I will be working on the games, by the way, so keep an eye and an ear out for me. You might just see my wrist at times, but you'll hear my voice. I'll be working on the Premier Sport coverage. But yeah, I'll go for a home win, Clermont to beat Benetton. Northampton against Castres. I've got a funny feeling Castres might send a slightly weaker team to this one, so I'm going to go home win. 3 home wins so far. Stormers against Toulon. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Toulon team is. I think, again, as I say, I think Toulon are going to probably send a weakened team because the top 14 is their bread and butter. So I'll go for, but they do have some amazing players. And if they do send Baptiste Saran and Charles Olivon, then maybe it can be a bit like that game last year when La Rochelle sent a full-strength team to Stormers and it was a belter of a game. I'm going to go for a home win, though. Stormers to win that one. Munster against Stade Francais. 2 teams that are struggling a little bit. Two teams that love this competition, and they've played before in some big games in the past of Munster and Stade Francais. I don't see either team winning the competition this year, but I'm going to go for another home win. Munster and this competition, its fans, Thomond Park again. What a special place to be on a Champions Cup weekend. Saracens versus Bulls, a fixture we saw a couple of times last year, and the Bulls came out on top in that one, and I think they will have too much at Loftus Versfeld especially. Maybe it might have been more competitive if it was in London, but it's not. It's in South Africa. So, oh, no. Sorry, it's away, isn't it? Saracens are at home. Yeah, despite it being in London, and that will be a leveller, I think actually the Bulls are going to win this one. And my reason is the fixtures have fallen quite nicely for the Bulls. So they had the internationals in November, and a load of their South African players haven't had to travel back to South Africa and then back to Europe, because they stayed for the Connacht game, wasn't it? Connacht last week, and now they stay for Saracens before heading back to South Africa. I'm going to go for an away win. Glasgow against Sale. Oh, little George Horn's face I've cut out of the picture there. This is interesting. I think I'm going to go home win. URC champions against Sale Sharks. Sale have got some great players, and I think they will send a full-strength team up the road to Glasgow, but I see the home team. So it's all going home except for Bulls so far. Racing 92 against Harlequins. Could go either way. I haven't got a clue. Harlequins managed to pull off a great win last year against in that brilliant stadium, La Défense Arena. And maybe Racing, because they're struggling in the top 14, maybe they won't put a full-strength team out. I just think at home they'll go full strength, and I don't know why. I've just got a gut feeling that Racing will do it this time. Bordeaux against Leicester. We've seen this fixture before, and Bordeaux heartbroken to go out in the quarter-final stage to Harlequins last year, despite the fact they also were heartbroken not winning the top 14, losing in the final. I think they're going to go for it in the top 14. I think they'll win at home. Toulouse against Ulster is the easiest home win you're ever going to call. Although that said, Toulouse were beaten by Ulster at home only a few years ago. Not sure Ulster have got that in their locker right now. And there you go. Bristol against Leinster to finish it off, which is really, really interesting. Bristol playing some dynamite rugby at the minute. At home, packed Ashton Gate. Will we see Geordie Barrett? We'll probably see RG Snyman. Can Bristol keep going with the attacking rugby against the power of basically an Irish team coming their way in Leinster colours? I think that's going to be an away win. So pretty much home wins down the board, with a few away wins sprinkled in for good measure. That is how I see it going. I cannot wait for this. And as the teams get announced and as we get through the games, I'll bring you more content on the channel. So please do hit subscribe, give your thoughts down below, give the video a thumbs up. And yeah, as I say, I'll also be at the matches throughout the weekends. So I might pull the curtain back behind the scenes, give you a little behind the scenes view of what I'll be doing and working on at the grounds. So another reason to make sure you get stuck in with the channel. Thank you for watching. I will see you on the next one.